What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for watching another video. I haven't posted something in about 2 weeks. Well, I've been posting some shorts, but an actual YouTube video I have not posted. Kind of busy with work and the holidays that came up, so that was really crazy, so I didn't have time. Plus, some of the parts that I'm waiting for, I still haven't gotten in, like my suspension, and I still haven't gotten in my intercooler, but supposedly that's coming still. I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully I get them soon so I can do some part installs for you guys. So, as most of you know, I have my Audi S3. I absolutely love the car. I'm a big advocate when people come into the MQB community that an S3 is definitely something that you should consider. But obviously, not every car is made perfectly. Some cars have things that are annoying, some things that you can't get here in the States and all that. So I'm going to go over that in today's video. So we're going to be going over 5 cons of the Audi S3. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is fuel mileage, miles per gallon, how many miles I get to a tank. That's a big question that a lot of you guys ask me in my comments, DMing me, asking about these cars. Let me start by saying that the fuel mileage on these cars are very mediocre at best. They are not great. I do vividly remember I got 2 full tanks of gas before I ended up tuning this car, and I remember the first tank from the dealer when I bought it, I got like 250 miles, and then the second tank I got like 240 miles, and this was completely stock. This was driving the car to work. When I first got it, you know, you're like in the honeymoon phase, all you wanted to do is drive the new car, so that's what I did, and I ended up getting like I said, 250 and 240, and this was a mix between city and highway, assuming that if you do mostly highway, you should be able to get like 280, 290 miles on a tank. But I would say most of our commutes, at least in this area of Jersey, does include some city driving and some highway, so that's where I got that amount of miles per tank. Now, after tuning it, it did get a lot worse, and there's 2 reasons for that. Number one, when the car's obviously faster, you tend to drive the car a little bit harder, causing the car to get worse fuel mileage. And another thing too is everything in the tune has changed. So even if you put your foot down a little bit, you know, the car's making more boost, there's more timing, there's more fuel being used, especially if you get something like ethanol. If you get an E30 tune, it's going to be even worse on fuel mileage. So right now, I'm not going to lie, this is not my daily, first of all, so that's why I don't mind the fuel mileage that this car gets. But honestly, right now, sometimes I see anywhere from like 220 to 230 on 93, and I've seen as low as like 190 miles on E30. Now, maybe there's something wrong with my car, but when I'm running E30, this car just eats it. Like, I'll have 98 miles on the tank, for example, almost 100 miles on the tank, and I'll be at a half a tank already. And then at 200 miles, my light pops on. So it's ridiculous how quickly these cars go through fuel. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're going to be dailying one of these cars, the fuel mileage is not great. If you need something fuel efficient, that's going to be, you know, where you want to be able to just go and go and go and go, kind of like my TDI, where my TDI fails to get me anything under 500 miles per tank. That car I fill up once a month, driving it every single day to work and doing my errands and all that stuff. I fill that car up once a month, which is fantastic. This car, if I were to daily it, the same driving that I do with the TDI, I'd have to fill up this car twice a week, and that's going to be crazy expensive on fuel, and at the same time, it's just annoying because something else in this video that I'm going to mention why it's not good for me to daily this car, but anyways, pretty much for fuel mileage, these cars are not great. So do not mind the absolutely disgusting car. I haven't washed it in a while. I will be washing it later today, I promise. I probably should have done that before even starting this video. But anyways, we're at the back of the car, and I've mentioned this in previous videos. If you look at the back, it is super, super small. And if you're going to be dailying one of these cars, there is not a lot of room in the trunk. And let me just show you so you guys can see it. Don't judge me on my little mess, but so this is the trunk of my car right now, okay? I have an APR box. This is my old intake that's going to be getting sold soon. I have a bumper bully for when I need to park in the street or have to parallel park so nobody hits me. Here's my camera bag that I have all my accessories and stuff in. And then I have a jack right there. I don't know if you guys could see that. Right there, I have my jack. This actually belongs to my wagon, but I have it in here just because I had to do my wheels the other day. Now, if you look at where the APR box is, it's not a really, really big box. I could even pull this out. It's a normal size box. If I were to put this in my wagon or my old Mark V Jetta that had a very deep trunk, actually, I could probably fit like 4 of these, but if I put one of these boxes in here, I literally lose more than half of my trunk, which is ridiculous. And if you need to put groceries or you're going on a trip and you need to put like 3-4 bags in here, you're going to be pretty tight on space, and then you're going to have to come back here, which also the back of these cars are not huge. If you have like a taller passenger or something like that, you're going to have to fill up the back of your car with stuff, and then if you need to take passengers with you, you're going to be screwed on that. So this is a big con if you're going to be dailying this car. Now for me, like I said, I have my wagon, which is my daily, so I don't have to worry about any of this kind of stuff back here. But again, it's still annoying though when I do need to haul certain things in this car. Like if I needed to put wheels in here, it's very difficult. If you guys saw my wheel video, I don't know how I managed to fit 4 wheels and tires in this car, but I did. But just by putting this APR box and then my backpack here with a couple of little other things, which is really not that much, my trunk is already full. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to be dailying these cars, that if you get an A3 or an S3 or RS3, you're not going to have a lot of room in the back of the car, and you're not going to have a lot of room in your trunk. All right, so this is going to have to do with you guys who like to modify cars. And one thing to keep in mind when you're coming to this platform is performance parts and tuning on these cars are a lot more expensive than your average other cars in the same spectrum. Let me put this into perspective, where if you're coming from like a Mark 5, a Mark 6 Volkswagen, an older Audi, you can get tuning. For example, I remember when I had my Mark 5 GTI, I went Unitronic Stage 1 Plus, and it was like $500, okay? And to this day, if I'm not mistaken, I still think those tunes for like Mark 5s and Mark 6s are still around that price, $500-600. If you're coming to the MQB platform, you're minimum going to be spending for tuning like $1,000, minimum. Especially if you have a DSG where, okay, so the ECU tune would be one thing, and then you have to get your transmission tune if you choose to go that way. You could be spending $1,300-1,400, and it's a lot of money. Now, is it worth it? Yeah, because the performance that comes with these cars are amazing, but it is going to be very pricey for these cars, you know, from Audi and Volkswagen, Golf R, GTI, A3, S3. This spectrum of cars is going to be very expensive to tune them. A lot of these parts are expensive as well. Like if you're trying to get a good downpipe, you might be spending, you know, $700-800. Catbacks, some catbacks for these cars are, you know, $1,500-2,000 when they have the valves and all that stuff in there. Some intakes are $600-700. I mean, there are cheaper things that you can find, but comparing some of the stuff from these cars to the older generations, it's a big jump in how much things cost. That's something you got to keep in mind. And even things like maintenance and other things, fluids that you got to use might be a little bit more expensive. A lot of times labor is more expensive on the newer cars. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're going to buy something like this, where you might be spending more on your tuning and your performance parts on these cars, suspension, you know, all of that stuff. It's going to be a little bit more expensive when you're coming over to this platform. Now, these final two cons are going to be US market based. So what I mean by that is that if you go to another country, if you go somewhere overseas in Europe, you'll be able to find these two things that I'm going to be talking about, which for me as an enthusiast and as a person who loves cars is super important. Now, this specifically is only going to pertain to the Audi, and that is that in the US market, the Audi A3 and S3 is not offered in any kind of manual transmission. Now, surprisingly, a lot of people don't know that. I've had people ask me like, hey, I see you have the DSG, what do you think about the manual option, because I want to get a manual S3. Guys, the S3 here in the US market does not come in a manual. It is strictly a DSG. You have two options for a DSG. If you get a 2015 to a 2017, you get the DQ250, which is the 6-speed automatic dual clutch transmission, or if you get anything from 2018 to 2020, you get the DQ381, which is the 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. So those are your two transmission options when it comes to the S3. So there is no manual option. You'd have to go overseas, for example, to Europe and one of those countries. They do sell a manual option over there. Unfortunately, here in the US market, we do not get that. Now, if you do want a manual, you could go for something like the GTI or the Golf R. Here in the US market, they do sell the GTI and the Golf R in a 6-speed manual. Now, the only thing is, yes, essentially the Golf R is the same as the S3, but if you want to, say that you own the Audi and you rather a sedan over the hatch, for example, you will be screwed because you cannot find these cars in a manual. You would have to get the Golf R, which everything is the same. Remember, the Golf R is the identical counterpart of the S3, same turbo, same engine, same drivetrain. It's the exact same car, just the Volkswagen version in a hatch rather than the sedan that says Audi on it. But you would have to go the Volkswagen route if you want to get a manual transmission. The Audi transmission in the US market does not at all offer a manual anymore, which kind of sucks because I feel that a manual option would open the door to Audi a little more if they kept doing it. Now, financially, is this sustainable for them? No, because most people who are buying an Audi nowadays are probably older adults who have families who are not looking to drive a manual anymore, and Volkswagens are still geared more towards the younger enthusiasts, as the Audi is geared more towards the family, luxurious daily that you can still have performance for. So the Volkswagen and the Audi are targeted to two different audiences usually, which is why, in my opinion, they still offer the Volkswagen in the manual and the Audi they don't, because it's just not geared towards the young car enthusiast like the Volkswagen is pushed towards being. So that's probably one of the reasons why. But being this is a performance car, quote unquote, it would be cool even if they made a small percentage in manual, just to have some of the car enthusiasts out there, you know, open up to getting something like this. But unfortunately, in the US market, no manual. For me, the last one, this is a big one. This is a big one because if they did offer this, I would 100% have bought one. They do not offer the A3 and the S3 in the hatch version. Now, I know before in the previous segment of the video, I mentioned that you could get the Golf R, which is considered the hatch car here in America for this platform. But the difference is, if you go over in Europe, you can find an hatch S3. Let me put a picture up on the screen right now. As you can see, you can get the hatch overseas. If the hatch was available, I would 100% have bought the hatch over the sedan. I love the look of a wagon. I love the look of a hatch. I mean, that's just my style. I think a slammed hatcher wagon on some nice wheels or whatever looks really good. So that definitely would have been the route that I chose if that was available here. I do like sedans though too, don't get me wrong. I love the body lines of this car, so that's the reason why I went with it. If I really did want a hatch, I could have gotten the Golf R and just kept it that way, because again, these two cars at that time that I bought this one were very close in price, so it wouldn't really have mattered which one I bought. But if this was offered in a hatch, the same exact way with everything, I 100% would have hopped on it. I don't know why here in the States we do not get the cool version of cars, because I don't know. I mean, it would make this the ultimate daily, because like I said in the previous parts of this video, that the trunk is super small, as you guys saw. That would completely be eliminated if there was the hatch version. I would still be able to have an S3. I can still say I own an Audi, and I would have a big trunk in the back where I just open everything up and I could put as much stuff as I want in there, which is awesome. And I know a lot of people want that. Maybe that's the reason why people steer away from these cars too. I do see sometimes even older people driving the Golf R, and I think one of the reasons why it's just there's more room back there. Even though the Golf R hatch isn't massive, remember, you could stack some stuff up, so you could put box, like how I have the APR box in my trunk. I could stack, you know, 5 of those in a Golf R, for example. Well, no, I'm kind of exaggerating, maybe like 3, but you get the point, that you can stack up and then put stuff on the side, and you are able to put more stuff back there, whereas this car you can't. So I wish we were offered the hatch version of these cars. I think they would be a really hot seller because we don't have them. And that's just something for thought. Audi in the future, you know, maybe you guys should bring them over here. I mean, I don't know the logistics of all that stuff, why we can't have them, but it would be cool if we did. Anyways, guys, that's going to conclude the video. Let me know if you have any other kind of cons that come with owning one of these cars, any kind of cons that the states don't offer when you're looking at maybe purchasing one of these cars, which is why maybe you stayed away and you bought something else. Let me know down below in the comments. I'm going to be trying to post more, guys, now that Christmas time is over. The holidays are ending. I'll have more time to post because work is going to be getting a lot slower now since the holidays are over. And I'm still waiting on my parts, guys. I'm waiting on my suspension. I got some really nice custom adjustable springs that are going to be going on this car as soon as I get them. Like I said, they are custom made. And what I mean by that is basically, you give this company the specs of the things that you want. You know, I want to have the car low, I want it to ride nice, blah, blah, blah. They will make a set for you specifically to the needs that you want, which is really cool. So that's why it's taking a little bit longer. And my APR intercooler was supposed to ship according to the company. Like 2 weeks ago, they sent me an email like, hey, it's going to be shipping at the end of the week. Got no confirmation. Waited until this past Tuesday or Wednesday. I sent them another email after a week and a half again, like, hey, like, I didn't get anything. They said the following week they got busy, got backtracked from all the orders that they received. So hopefully sometime in the first week of January, I'll have all my parts so that I could get those 2 videos out, so I can finally get my intercooler on this car. I could get the car a little bit lower, riding a little bit better with my suspension, and you know, see what other parts I'll be getting for this car. I do have a list of things, and you know, sometimes with life it's kind of hard to just spend all the money at once. So we're gonna go with those 2 parts first, make the 2 videos on that, and then we'll go from there. But hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It lets YouTube know that I'm doing a good job, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.